So a few days ago, a Twitter account called PopFlop tweeted out this post, which takes two sentences that Chappell Roan said in an interview really out of context. The purpose, naturally, is to generate the max rage bait, which they were successful in. The post ended up getting circulated and quote tweeted and has over 70 million impressions, which is really high, especially for Twitter. But what was really surprising to me is how quickly the mob descended upon Chappell Roan and how much they were willing to turn on her without really any information other than this tweet. People were going so far as to call her anti-LGBTQ, calling her anti-trans. It's actually really wild considering that in this specific article the quote is taken from, she talks about and reaffirms her support of the trans community. And she's been out in front at the VMAs and in interviews talking about how her music is inspired by the trans community and how she is an ally of the trans community and how she, as a lesbian herself, of course supports LGBTQ rights. Even just like a simple Google search brings up the article right away, and you can read the article of what she says. She says that she most wants to see a change in trans rights in the US. They cannot have cis people making decisions for trans people, period, said Roan. This is the article that people are, taking the one quote out of context to say that she doesn't support trans people. Like, makes no sense. Like, the whole article is about how she does support trans people and how she gives money to funds that support LGBTQ people. What I think that she's referring to here is the fact that she doesn't support the Democrats' position on the financing of a specific war that we all know about. It's actually a G word, but I'm trying to make sure this video is seen. Because of that position, she declined to perform at the White House. She's been very vocal in her support for any oppressed group. And to say that she's somehow, another thing people were saying is that she's a closet Republican. There aren't only two options in the world. Like, you're not either a Democrat or a Republican. There's an entire political spectrum, just as there's an entire sexual spectrum, just as there's an entire gender spectrum. You're not just either boy or girl. You might be transgender. You might be on any of the number of things that there are. And on the political spectrum, it's completely the same. And it sounds like Chappell Roan is a leftist and that she has more left-leaning views than the Democrats, of which the Democratic ticket is a pretty conservative Democratic ticket. I mean, we've seen a lot of these interviews where the candidate is talking about how she too owns guns, she too has a lot of things in common with the Republican Party. That seems to be a line that the campaign is running again and again to, I think they're trying to do it to get some of those undecided voters or some of those conservative voters. But there's a lot of really left-leaning people who disagree with a lot of the things that the Democrats do. But just because you disagree with the Democrats, that doesn't automatically make you on the far right. That makes no sense. You gotta think critically before you say things.